welcome back. A live look at downtown Dallas, and you can see it's 8:24, 54 degrees. A little rain coming later, but that's okay. Lots of events that you can do indoors today. Well, more than 5 years ago, Fox 4 and the March of Dimes joined forces to raise awareness for babies. And we are once again weeks away from the annual March for Babies event. And here to tell us why this is so important is Dr. Paul Hayne. Thank you so much for joining us. You're a co-founder of this race, as well as the North Texas Chief Medical Officer at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure to be here.
So tell us why you think this is a worthy cause for you to be involved, as well as for people here in North Dallas, in North Texas, to be involved in.
Sure, and this is part of a whole national push to raise money for babies. We know the March of Dimes has done a spectacular job throughout the years taking care of small children, and this is the next step. You know, prematurity affects almost everybody. 1 in 8 babies in North Texas is born prematurely. So if you haven't had a premature baby, I'm sure there's somebody you know who has had a premature baby. And this is a really complicated, difficult thing for folks to go through. So especially as a pediatrician, but also as a dad of a child who is slightly premature, I'm really invested in making sure that we raise money to do the best things we can to make sure that these kids aren't born prematurely.
Right, and it really affects families when you have a premature baby. I know that we've had several in mind. Just something that, you know, long hospital stays, they can have complications later in life, and it's just a really horrible thing. So prevention is key, and I think awareness is also huge. And so tell us how having an event like this that's so huge, you guys have a name. I mean, you go to the grocery store, you see it posted up.
The March for Babies.
Right, so many people on social media who are participating with you guys are trying to raise money for this event. So it's a huge PR campaign. Tell us why that awareness does more, even if they never go out and walk.
Absolutely. Just being aware to help the whole system figure out that we need to really invest in preventing prematurity. About $27 billion a year in the U.S. is spent on prematurity and the sequela from being premature. If you just look at the costs to families individually, it's phenomenal. Having, as you said, really long hospital stays, having to deal with going to the hospital, coming home, especially if you have other children. So having premature babies is very difficult, and being aware as a society that this is a really important thing to look at is going to help us both raise money through the March of Dimes as well as have public policies aimed at preventing prematurity.
Why do you think it's such a big problem here in the United States?
That's a really good question, and one that not people have really gotten their arms wrapped around. It's hard to solve, which is one of the reasons that one of the focuses of the March of Dimes is to work on research in this area. We don't really even know the reasons that women go into labor yet, which is unbelievable when you think about how much we know about the human body. So we have teams set up both here at UT Southwestern, which is one of the leading institutions for medical research in the country, as well as Stanford through the Ohio Collaborative. And the March of Dimes is able to help fund those researchers to figure out what triggers women to go into labor early and how can we make that stop. And then there's the second part, which is we raise money to help folks be aware of how to prevent prematurity in their own homes, so they know that they need to get prenatal care, they know they need to eat well, they know they need to quit smoking. So we can really work on 2 prongs, right? Acting out on what we know already, and then trying to discover the next thing that'll help us even
more. And your
more.
company, Blue Cross Blue Shield, is a huge part of that as well.
Absolutely. You know, I was so proud of them. They stepped up and donated $25,000 this year to the March of Dimes to say, hey, let's really get this moving. And my co-chair, Steve Ido from Lockton Dunning Benefits, has really stepped up as well. And we're just pushing the community to say, hey, let's all get out to White Rock Lake here in Dallas, or out to the Panther area in Fort Worth, and let's walk on April 18th and raise some money for these kids and make sure that we can find a cure for prematurity.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Hayne, for joining us, talking
about this. It has been my pleasure.
I think it's going to be a huge success. Of course, it always is. And as you heard him say, this is happening on the 18th of April, so a good chance for you to come out. And if you're in Fort Worth, of course, you can go to the Panther Pavilion Island, as he's just said, and you can also go to the Norbuck Park, which is at White Rock Lake here in Dallas. And for more information, you can always go to our website, fox4news.com.